Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
What time is it?
Science time?
Sorry, a bit more energy there, please, Claire.
Science time!
That's it, science time. It is the time for science on Lost in Science. We have half an hour of wall-to-wall science action. Buckle your seatbelts, fasten your locks or unfasten your locks for a quick exit because this is going to get pretty damn...
Get your motors running.
Yes, get your motors running. All the cliches are coming out of the box. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of stuff here today. Claire, what are you going to startle and surprise us with?
Well, I'm going to be talking about milk. Not just your regular everyday cow's milk, but soy milk, almond milk, cashew milk, all of those milks that keep popping up at the supermarket. What are the differences? What are the nutritional benefits and disadvantages? Just want to equip everyone with a little bit more knowledge about what they are drinking when they get the choice to put different milks in their coffee.
Are they even really milks?
Yeah, are they really even milks? Have you ever seen a teat on a soybean?
No, not lately.
Soy teats? No, I haven't.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Skeptical.
Well, question is whether a stew will be bold enough to challenge this. I would say dairy challenge it. No, that joke
Dairy
didn't.
challenge it.
Dare he challenge it?
Dairy.
No.
Dairy.
Yeah.
Dairy.
No.
Dare I?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll keep working on that.
I dare. Well, I'm not going to talk about dairy at all, so I'm going to be actually talking to Scott McAdam about plant genes and a plant gene that they discovered recently in ferns, which also is present in flowering plants, which in ferns actually dictates which sex the plant turns out.
Ferns are different sexes?
They have different sexes within the early form of the plant, the gametophyte form of the plant.
Oh, right.
But this same gene is also responsible for very important things like drought tolerance in plants. So
that's a very important gene to know about for
very, very
the
useful
future.
gene in the future. We can look for this gene and see how it's expressed and all sorts of things. So, yeah, Scott McAdam will be talking more about his research in that field later on in the show.
From sex to saving our crops, we've got it covered here on Lost in Science. Well,
and soy milk, come on.
And soy milk, yeah. Sorry, that is the cream of the stories, I've got to say. On with the show.
So I've started adding soy milk in my coffee over the past year or so. I don't really know why. I tried it once. I enjoyed it. And now it's a habit. I don't know if it's a good habit.
Do you have to pay extra for soy milk when you go out and get coffee from the cafe?
I do have to pay extra.
Yeah,
yes.
Not really sure why that
50
is.
cents extra. Yeah. Oh, gosh. They just get you at every turn, don't they?
They do.
But now you go into a coffee shop and it's not just, soy or cow milk. For your options. There's other options too. You got almond milk, rice milk, coconut milk, even cashew milk sometimes. You can really be quite overwhelmed by choice. I don't know if you guys have ever tried cashew milk. I haven't tried cashew milk. Yeah.
Probably because I don't want to pay the extra 50 cents.
You tied us.
Yeah.
I drink black coffee. That's how I get around it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. And I mean,
that's
look.
a tip there.
There are plenty of reasons why people don't drink cow's milk. If you're lactose intolerant or ethically opposed to drinking milk from animals. But some people like me just enjoy a diversity of choice and go with our taste buds, which is great. But it's also good to know how each of them differ nutritionally and also environmentally and what that means. So first, let's look at what these milks are. A little crash course in milk today.
How do you milk a soybean?
How do you milk a soybean? Yeah, well, you milk a cow by the teats, right? Yep. And the milk from a cow or a goat or a sheep, it's obviously the complete food needed for the growth and development of a young animal. It contains all the essential amino acids that you need to build proteins, which is especially important because there are some amino acids that your body cannot make itself that you need to actually consume to build those proteins. A soybean is also a complete food, but it's the complete food for the growth and development of a soy plant, not anything else, not a human baby.
So the nutritional makeup is slightly different.
Yeah. The needs of a plant are not the same as the needs of an animal. Exactly right, Stu. So, for example, in cow's milk, in a 200 ml glass of cow's milk, you'll find about 8 grams of protein and almost a third of your daily recommended intake of calcium. Cow's milk also naturally contains things like potassium and vitamin B12, which you need, macronutrients. And also the milk that you buy in the supermarket, some of it might have been fortified with vitamin A and vitamin D, so you're also getting a shot of those ones. It's got a pretty complex mixture of fats and carbohydrates and all these vitamins and minerals. So, yeah, it's sort of like this broad spectrum nutrient white juice milk, nature's nutrient.
Moo juice.
Moo juice, exactly. Nutritionally, if you're comparing it to soy, almond, coconut, cashew milk, they pale in comparison, really, except for soy milk. None of those milks, so your almonds and your coconuts, none of these contain more than a gram of protein per 100 mils, unless they have been fortified with protein from somewhere else. Coconut milk is the worst, with little to no sort of natural proteins.
But have we got how they produce those milks? Because coconut milk is not just the liquid that you get when you open a coconut. It's coconut water, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on the stage of the coconut. Like, you've got the green coconut that produces the coconut water,
yep,
the clear one, and then once the coconut is a little bit older,
yep,
it produces the coconut and milk. Were we talking about this recently? I feel like we might have been. No, I'm looking at you, Stu.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on that one.
I guess what I'm thinking, even with them, with the nuts and things, so they're obviously grinding up and processing these things in some way. They're not squeezing the teats.
Yeah, well, I mean, nuts like almonds and cashews are actually loaded with proteins, and almonds are really rich in calcium. But when you're grinding, like you say, when you're grinding these things up and they're going through that processing, a lot of the nutrients end up getting lost. Mm-hmm. So what happens is these soy milk makers or these plant-based milk makers need to add in extra nutrients. So they actually add in things like calcium carbonate to increase the calcium content, or pea or rice protein to increase your protein content to get it to, a level that's that you sort of need, or that people want, that consumers want.
So they try and make it comparable to cow's milk.
To cow's milk.
Right.
Yep.
I'm starting to see why it might cost you 50 cents extra.
Yeah, there's a lot more processing. It can't just happen in the udder of a cow. Mm. Yeah. Now it's debated whether these added nutrients are absorbed as efficiently by the body as the nutrients present in cow's milk. So cow's milk contains the sugars lactose and the protein casein, and it's that sugar and the protein that actually help increase the absorption of calcium. And then calcium helps absorb vitamin D. So it's sort of like this fantastic situation that cow's milk has got going on. So, yeah, by now, you might be feeling a little bit confused about what type of milk to enjoy in your coffee. I'm very sorry about that. I would say the take-home message is, yes, there is a take-home message here.
But put it in a reusable cup.
Put it in, yeah. Put it in a reusable cup. Exactly. There seems to be huge variation in the type of plant-based milk you drink. So when I say that, I mean like the brand of soy milk that you might drink, and that brand might determine exactly, what they've added to it, if they've added, if they've added calcium, if they've added protein and extra things. So
should people check the labels?
People should check the labels because a recent study in the Journal of Pediatric Gastroenterology and Nutrition confirmed that plant-based drinks vary so widely in their nutritional profile that they do not recommend that young children drink anything other than cow's milk.
In their baby chinos.
In their baby chinos. Exactly. Make sure you keep the chocolate on top. That is not medical advice, but, advice.
None of this is medical advice. Please see your doctor. Don't listen to Lost in Science.
Yeah.
Talk to a dietitian.
Yeah.
Be eating.
Yeah.
And drinking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course. But let me just step away from the nutritional, being the dairy ambassador over here, and mention just briefly the environmental and more specifically the water cost of cow's milk versus soy milk, because I think that needs to be talked about when you talk about milk in general. That is how many litres of water it takes to produce 1 litre of each of those milks. So let me tell you that the UN Development Programme have identified that the water footprint of 1 litre of soy milk is 297 litres of water, which is quite a lot of litres of water. I think it's probably twice the amount of water that I would use per day in my house, me personally. The water footprint of 1 litre of cow's milk is 1,050 litres of water, which is 3 times as much. Three times as much. Yep. So you're using 3 times as much water to produce that. So there you go. Something to ruminate on next time your barista asks you what milk you want with that.
Across Australia on the Community Radio Network, you're listening to Lost in Science.
One of the things about living in Australia is that it's one of the driest, well, certainly the driest inhabited continents on Earth. And drought tolerance of plants is something of great interest. Now, I've got on the line with me Scott McAdam from the University of Tasmania, who's made some discoveries about how plants regulate their water use, which arose from something quite different. Thanks for joining us on Lost in Science, Scott.
No, thank you. It's good to be here.
Now, your original work on plants was not actually looking for a drought tolerance mechanism, was it?
No, that's right. We were actually looking for genes that controlled the sex of plants, which is quite a different topic altogether. And this is recent research. Did we not know before this how plants regulated the sex of the plant or the flower or whatever part of the plant it is? So we were actually working with ferns, and what's fascinating about ferns is that they have a very cryptic reproductive stage called a gametophyte, which is a very small, almost microscopic life phase that can be either hermaphrodite or male. And lots of research in the 70s and 80s had investigated what hormones or growth regulators might make a gametophyte either male or hermaphrodite, but we had no idea about the genes that controlled that. So it was something completely unknown. We knew that the plants could change their sex, these ferns could change the sex of their gametophyte, but we had absolutely no idea what mechanisms they were using for that. So we really our focus was studying, well, what genes might be controlling this really interesting feature of a plant.
So you were looking at Tasmanian ferns, or are they widespread across Australia? Where was the work focused?
The fern that we were working with was a species that's found across the tropical regions of Australia. It sort of grows in water, and you can find it in the Northern Territory in the wet season. But it's a really exciting species to work with because it can be so easily propagated and grown in a glass house. So it's the ideal plant to do experiments with because it's so easy to grow. It would be very difficult to do this work with a tree fern, which might take 100 years to grow only a metre tall. This little fern can grow and live its full life cycle in only a month. So we can do experiments into how the plant might live and grow, and we can look at its genes in a very easy way in the lab. So it makes it an ideal species to work with. But it is native to northern Australia.
Okay, so it grows from a spore through this gametophyte stage and then gets to be a mature adult and then produces more spores within a month. Yes,
yeah, that's right.
That's a really, really fast, very short life cycle.
It's a very short life cycle for a fern. So what we knew about this fern was that it has this very nice method of determining the sex of its gametophyte. And interestingly, we had some mutants that we had created that were discovered in the 70s by painstaking work looking at these gametophytes under a microscope and discovering particular lines of these ferns that were insensitive to a hormone. So it meant that they would always grow as males. The hormone that made them hermaphrodite, the plant couldn't perceive them. So we had this fern that could grow really fast, and we had these great resources of plants that just couldn't quite perceive hormones properly, which led us into our discovery. Yeah.
So the fact that they couldn't perceive the hormones to turn them into hermaphrodites, did that allow you to look for genes that were missing that would allow other plants to do that? Is that how it worked?
Yes. So that's right. So what we did, we actually sequenced the genome of this fern, which was quite a feat because we have no genetic understanding. We have a genome of humans, and that's very useful for medical research, and we have genomes from a lot of crop species like corn and rice. And breeders use those genomes to improve varieties and to understand how those crop plants might be growing. But we had no genomes from ferns. So, of course, because their only use for humans is ornamental, basically, in gardens, so there wasn't much of a drive to get an understanding of the genes of these plants, but we were able to sequence the genome of this plant, and with that information, we study what gene was deficient in these plants, and that caused them to not be able to perceive this hormone. And it was quite an amazing discovery because we actually found that the gene responsible for perceiving the hormone in the fern was the same gene that seed plants and flowering plants, which are all of our crop species and all of our forestry species, all the plants that are really important for human survival, all of those plants use that same gene to stop their stomata on their leaves from losing lots of water when they experience drought, which was an astonishing discovery that we found a sex gene that then evolved through time, has evolved to stop plants using lots of water.
It's carried on from the ferns through the various stages of plant evolution into all of the flowering plants that exist now.
Yes, that's right. So we know that ferns are not very good at surviving in dry environments. You sometimes see ferns growing in very dry ridge tops in Australia, but often they are very small and they can be completely desiccation tolerant. So if it gets dry, and when it does get dry, they just shrivel up and they go dormant, and then they re-sprout. But most ferns grow in very wet places and don't have much capacity to tolerate drought, and that's something that has been a defining feature of ferns for their entire evolutionary history.
So just on the ferns also rely on water for the fertilisation of the gametophyte. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So that's part of the reason, I guess, that they only exist in wet places, is they haven't got a mechanism for that fertilisation process.
That's right. So what's very interesting is they actually have motile sperm. So just like animals, which have sperm that swim to an egg for fertilisation, the male gametophytes produce sperm, and when a droplet of water falls on them, those little sperm swim in the very same way as animal sperm towards the egg of a neighbouring plant and fertilise it. So ferns actually require water to move their sperm from the male to the female, and they swim in exactly the same way. But so that's a big limitation. Yeah, that is a limitation to their survival. They're sort of really bound to living in really quite wet places. So what has happened through time is that seed plants, which thrive in areas that are seasonally dry, so in arid Australia, in central Australia, with very low rainfall, or even in northern Australia where you have maybe 6 months of absolutely no rain in the dry season, we still have plants living in these environments, and it's because they can regulate the amount of water that comes out of their leaf through little pores called stomata, and they close those when it's dry, and they use a hormone to close them, and the hormone increases and the stomata close, and then they can sit for a very long time in this dry landscape and wait till it rains, which is something that ferns don't have. Ferns hadn't evolved that.
So it's the same gene that's responsible for, I guess, is that receiving that hormone and getting that signal in the seed plants and in the flowering plants that is responsible in the ferns for the sex determination? Yes,
that's right. So you've got the same gene, the gene signalling for sex, and with the hormone controlling sex, and it the plant perceives the hormone through that gene and makes the gametophyte a hermaphrodite. But what's happened through time is that plants have gone, this hormone is produced very efficiently when the plants experience water stress. So they have taken, evolution really has acted by sort of moving that pathway into the stomata, where they can now close the pores on the leaves, and whenever that hormone increases.
So I guess one of the things this work will allow scientists to do in the future is possibly look for plants that have a greater expression of this gene, which might suggest that they're more drought tolerant than other varieties of particular plants, whether that's crop plants or forestry plants or whatever it might be. So that would be a great advantage in the future.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, actually understanding how the pores control water use in seed plants is incredibly important, because if you have any inefficiency in that, your plants will use far more water than what they need to. They will just lose lots of water from their leaves, which is certainly not ideal for growing plants under irrigation, which a lot of Australian agriculture takes place with irrigation. So improved varieties where maybe the expression of this gene is enhanced or is more efficient even at perceiving the hormone could have implications for, but maybe it could reduce crop water use by orders of magnitude, and that would be extremely beneficial for irrigated agriculture, or indeed agriculture in places in more arid environments.
Yeah, even dryland agriculture where we're
right.
reliant on rainfall completely. That's it's really amazing work that you've done, Scott, and I would like to thank you for joining us on Lost in Science and bringing us up to speed with your work.
Thanks, it's been really good to talk to you. Yeah, thanks.
No worries.
And that is it for another sterling episode of Action Science on Lost in Science, where we have heard about all the nutty milks, the nuttiest of milks that there are out there,
and beanie milks.
And beanie milks,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's bean milk, but what is it now?
Whoa, is that another pun?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
All right, okay.
Yes, and we have, of course, learned about ferns and how their sexy genes could save our drought, perhaps tolerance.
Well, and crops in general, and even forestry plants and ecology as well. It's important stuff.
Botany, who'd have thunk it? Lost in Science, it is recorded at the studios of 3CR in Melbourne. It airs across Australia on the Community Radio Network with the support of the Community Broadcasting Foundation. We would love you to get in touch with us and tell us what we have gotten wrong. If you're a big fan of nutty milk, perhaps you want to tell Claire a thing or two, please email us at lostinsci@gmail.com or tweet to us on Twitter. We are Lost in Science. 1, I think, is our handle.
Lost in Science 1.
You can look us up. What else? We also have a Facebook page where it's called Lost in Science on 3CR, where you can find more detail on our stories. We'll put them up there on there, and you can find links to our podcast. Yes, we have a podcast as well. You can subscribe to us through the 3CR website, 3cr.org.au/Lost in Science, or you can find us on your favourite little podcasting app or service, that kind of thing. Pod app, if you will. And, if you find us on there, if you stumble across us on an iTunes or something like that, why not rate us? Maybe give us a 5-star rating. I think you can do that.
Get us into the charts.
Get us into the charts. We deserve it. If anyone does, it is us. But apart from that, we will just be on free-to-air normal radio. Same time next week when Claire, Stu, Manisha and Chris will get Lost in Science.
Thanks for listening to a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online.